Thank you all so very much for joining us for the fifth annual Youth Career and College Excellence Summit. I am Dr. Christie Murray, and I will be your illustrious host for today and tomorrow's event. Next up, we are going to move to our financial aid and scholarship discussion. I'm going to share strategies I wish someone had shared and told me. So, in this segment, we're going to make sure that we share insider strategies to help you with resources and information so that you can go and get your education, whether you go to college or you take a different route, that you get access to the information you need along that journey. So, I'm going to tell you briefly a little bit about my story and the approach I used going to college. And so, I introduced myself briefly earlier. But again, over 30 years ago, I was a student, a senior in high school. I had two sisters who were currently in college. And by the time I got ready to go to school, it would have been three of us in school. And I wanted to go to a private school. I wanted to go to Hampton University. And when I came home and told my parents I wanted to go to Hampton and that I really fell in love with the campus and I wanted to major in engineering, my parents said, you can go, but you've got to figure out how to pay for it. So I actually started talking to different people about opportunities, scholarships, funding, you name it. And I was blessed to have a great opportunity land at my feet. My school counselor shared an opportunity with me. A company was looking for students who wanted to go to Hampton University and major in engineering. And so, because of that opportunity, I applied and got accepted into Hampton. And I also applied for that scholarship and ended up with a scholarship to Hampton University, summer internships. Every summer, I was in college and a full time job when I graduated from college. And I had that whole package the day I walked across the high school stage. So I love this work because I love helping people and young adults to realize those same opportunities. So I'm both here in front of you as a scholarship winner, but I also like to provide and help you to get scholarships. And I also judge and evaluate scholarships. So that's the space in which I'm going to have this conversation with you. Not necessarily just because I won a scholarship, but because I've brought all those things forward and I know exactly the strategies that will help you to actually get enough funding and different ways to also go to school, and hopefully by reducing or eliminating any student loan debt, but also getting a quality education. So, with my second book, College Funding Strategies. So, here are my two books. I don't think I showed them earlier, but I do have two books. One called College Planning Strategies. I wish someone had told me I introduced earlier. And then my second book, College Funding Strategies. I wish someone had told me. In this second book, families were saying, hey, Dr. Christie, we got accepted into school, but guess what? We're trying to figure out how to pay for it. So I created the book and workbook of templates based on my son's guidance. Mom, just don't tell us what to do. Show us how to go about doing it. And so I created the workbook of templates, and they're all downloadable from my website. And I will share that link with you all to have access to those templates. So that's the basis for our talk. Now, what I want to tell you is these strategies work. The young man to my left is my cousin. He's my younger cousin. He went to college on a Naval ROTC scholarship. So anyone who thinks that they don't have enough funding, military ROTC scholarships are a great way to fund your education. He actually didn't owe a penny, $0 when he graduated from Hampton. He got commissioned as a naval officer, which means he had a job in a leadership position, and he received over $150,000 worth of benefits. The young man on the right is my son, who, and I think I heard we have athletes on with us. My son is a scholar athlete. He goes to Norfolk State University. He also had a football scholarship and other athletic scholarship funding. He's majoring in computer science. And so he too used these strategies that I'm sharing with you all. So I'm not just telling you about it, or Dr. Christie is out of date. She's done this over 30 years ago. What does she know about today's climate? Because I'm living this reality with people in the community, not just my family, just like you, to try to help you. So today we're going to cover some of the key financial aid strategies to help you to pay for college and apply for scholarships so that you're more likely to get awarded those scholarships that you actually apply for. And I want you to avoid some of the common pitfalls and mistakes that I'm seeing right now in today's climate. So I'm going to share a few things with y'all, and I hope y'all are engaged for this part because this is where I get a lot of questions from families who struggle with the funding part. So this is the key pieces. These are key pieces that I want you to take away. At the end of this segment, we're going to play a competitive game of Kahoot, and I'm going to test what you know for prizes this time. So the first one was more of a poll. This time it's going to be a competitive game, and the first, second, and third place prize winners will get prizes. So I just want to dive right in. So next to choosing a career and choosing a college or a school, how you're going to pay for it is vitally critical. So I want you to know that it doesn't have to be super stressful if you roll up your sleeves and you put in the work. It's not your school's responsibility, your teachers, and to some extent, not your parents' responsibility. They may certainly help you and support you, but you got to be willing to help yourself. Don't expect anyone else to do more work towards this than you are committed to doing. And I have to say that honestly, as a parent and as a person, a professional who helps families all the time. I talk to families all the time, and they just want somebody to tell them how to get the money, but they don't want to do the work to get the money. And it doesn't work that way. Take this process serious and have fun with it, if I'm honest. More importantly, don't wait till the last minute. You know how many families I have say, Dr. Christie, my daughter or son's going to college in August. Keep in mind, it's June or July at the time. Going to college next month, and we need $50,000. Where were you the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years Dr. Christie was hosting these summits? And if you've been to my summits, why haven't you applied what I'm sharing? So y'all have a benefit. Y'all are the ones who took this summit serious. I pushed it out to thousands of kids across the country. Y'all are the ones who showed up. Use this key and critical information to your advantage. Ask for help. You know how many people ask me for help when I say, hey, if you need an essay reviewed or if you win a giveaway to get an essay review, if I give you a giveaway and I say you get one free essay review, very few of y'all actually follow up with me to get your essay reviewed. And as one of the youths asked earlier, what will differentiate you if your GPA isn't the strongest? It's your essays. So get the help when it's available to you so that it can strengthen and improve your chances. Give yourself options. So don't pigeonhole yourself into one college that's not affordable or one major or one anything. Give yourself options so that you can pivot in different ways based on your funding and financial situation. And do explore different options. Be realistic about your educational goals and go where you can afford. If you and your parents cannot afford a $50,000 a year college, don't choose a $50,000 a year college. Sounds simple, right? Y'all would be surprised how many families don't take that advice, but I know y'all will. Now, here's what I want to tell you. One of the key things you should do is know the cost. Know the cost of college. So you found a career, you found a college or a group of colleges. How many of y'all know how much it costs? I've heard engineers, medical field, all kind of professions and careers being thrown out already. Who knows how much their college is going to cost? Now, I'll give y'all an example. Good, Hannah, I see your hand raised. I see you. And here's what I want to tell you. When my sons were younger, I don't know if y'all remember this, but when my sons were younger, they were Michael Jordan. They loved Michael Jordan shoes. They were sneakerheads. Anytime new sneakers would hit the store, Mom, we got to go get the new sneakers. They come out at 6, they drop at 8 o'clock. So we're in line at 4 or 5 o'clock for 4 or 5 hours before the sneakers would even hit the store. Lines draped all around the mall. I don't know if anybody remember this or any parents on here remember this phase, but with my sons, they were out getting the latest sneakers. What if I got up early? I got in line 5 hours early on a Saturday, and my Saturdays are very precious to me. Waited in line, and I never asked, well, how much are these shoes going to cost? We get to the front of the line. Just so happens they have their last size in that shoe, and my son gets those shoes. And I get to the cash register, and she says, that'll be $962. And I'm like, what? Why didn't you tell me they were going to cost that much? Is that the right time for me to find that out? Absolutely not. That should have been one of the earlier questions I asked. So, why do I share that example? Because it's up to you to know how much things cost early. You cannot plan for what you don't know. There's a difference between a school costing $15,000, $20,000 a year, or $5,000 or $10,000 a year, and one costing $50,000, $60,000 to $100,000 a year. Those are things you don't have to be surprised about, and you certainly don't want to be surprised about. So, do you know the cost to attend? Whether it's your college or school, whatever it is you're considering doing next, it's in your best interest to know. There's a difference between direct costs and indirect costs. Direct costs, these are things that you directly pay to the college, university, or school. It could be your tuition, your other fees. It could be room and board if you're staying on campus. You got to live in a dorm. You have to have meals. That's room and board. Indirect costs are things that you'll find out about that you have to cover, like books, course materials, supplies, computers, personal expenses, like if you're on campus or even off campus, laundry, your cell phone bill, parking fees, medical expenses. Those are things that you have to pay for out of your pocket, but you don't necessarily give that money to the college or university. So you want to think about all of those costs as you are preparing for school, even the transportation. If you're on the East Coast and you go to school on the West Coast, now you've got to factor in, how am I going to get to California every year? How much is that going to cost me? These are real costs you don't want to be surprised by, in addition to the tuition, room, and board. Now, every year, the cost of college, it could go up, it could go down. We have inflation. There's a lot going on with the educational systems right now with federal funding. As you're probably watching with the news, some colleges are getting more, some are getting less. So we have to pay attention to costs every year you're in school because they vary. Because it's different if you live on campus, it costs one thing. Off campus, it costs something else. It could be cheaper off campus, or it could be more expensive, depending on if you're staying at home with your parents or if you're getting an apartment. If you're learning distant learning, if you're doing online classes, it could be cheaper because you don't have to pay for room and board. You can sit at home like you are today and get your education. So it may be more affordable. If you go to a public school versus private school, we talked about that earlier, it could cost different. If you choose an in-state or an out-of-state public school, out-of-state schools, public schools, and you're not in that state, it could cost you more. Those are reasons why you want to make sure you know the cost. According to the U.S. News, look how much a private college costs versus a public in-state school. You mean, Dr. Christie, if I go to a public school in my state, it could cost me $11,000. But if I go to that same school, a private school in that same state, it could cost me about 43. Absolutely. So know the difference in how the public and school and out of state costs factor in and how much private schools cost. Ask the question when you're researching schools, is this a public school? Is this a private school? Let me find out. Because I don't want to get too far gone knowing that 43,000 a year times 4 years, that's over $120,000 a year. That's not what I'm trying to do. Maybe I'm trying to do more of the 11,000 a year. So please pay attention to the cost. Once you have the cost factored in, make a plan. Sit down with your parents. How many of you have had conversations with your parents about how you're going to pay for college? Okay, Zanice has. I think I see Brianni's hand. Trying to see, Jessica has. I'm missing some hands. I see a couple more hands raised. Let's go back. Yes, Junie has. London has. Great. I'm so glad you all are having these conversations. And your parents are going to want to help you. And they should, encourage you to come up with different options. But you want to kind of make it manageable for them to be able to help you. My sons did that. My youngest one went on a full football and academic scholarship. So that was a huge help. And so all the help matters. Put together a plan. You notice a theme. In the first session we had, when I talked about careers in college, I said, have a plan. What do you see here? Have a funding plan. You could actually put your funding plan with your college plan. It can be all on the same spreadsheet. But the key is to have a plan for both. Now, as you think about your plan, you have to think about what ways can I pay for school? And as you think about how you want to pay for college, there are household sources, meaning you can help pay for. You can work, do internships, volunteer, get extra funding. Your parents may want to help you or guardians. Out of pocket expenses. This is money you pull out of your bank account or your parents' account and you can pay directly. Or you could have a savings plan. I know like Virginia has a 529 savings plan. Sometimes your parents will invest in that plan as when you're younger, and then they can pull the money out when you're older. So that's another opportunity. What about permanent life insurance? There's an opportunity for life insurance. If your parents, depending on the type of policy they have, they can actually tap into that. Or your parents may or may not. I didn't really like tapping into mine for my sons for college because that's for my future retirement and not their present education. But it's not recommended, but it is still another source. Brianni, you have a question?
Yes, so I have a question about because I'm on a 504 plan. Could that also be applied towards college? Like, does college have something like a 504 plan, or is it like totally different?
So I'll be honest with you, I'm not an expert on 504 plans, but whenever you have those kind of questions, specific questions, research it and look it up. I would even Google how can a 504 plan help with college tuition? And it will give you more specific information about that particular plan, or it should point you to who you can contact to find out more. So I don't know specifically if it can. It may be able to. I just don't know enough to tell you,
Okay,
more
that's
intelligently. But whenever you have these questions, because it's a really good question, research it and find out. Go to Google, use whatever resources, ask your parents how it works, and or go to Google and ask and find out if that plan can be used. So that's a great example of plans that other financial sources that you might have access to. So that's a good question. Thank you. Now, what are other ways to pay for school? Outside sources. So this is outside of your household. There's inside your household, you and your parents and guardians. Outside is everything else. The colleges and universities, employers, nonprofit organizations, organizations like the one I have with the summit, other individuals who may want to help. Anybody who's not in your immediate household could be considered a source. There's financial aid. That's money usually you get from a federal local government or the school may award financial aid. Scholarships, grants, and then employer education reimbursement. My nephew was in college, but he was also working at McDonald's before he left for college. Didn't realize that McDonald's, because he worked at McDonald's, they actually gave him funding towards his college education. So if you're working a job, have you ever asked this question? If you haven't, you should. Hi, do you offer an employee reimbursement or any educational benefits? So if you want educational benefits from your employer, ask the question. Closed mouths don't get fed, right? So ask. You would be surprised. Target did. My other son worked at Target. So there are all kind of employers who will offer funding, but a lot of time employers don't offer it unless you ask. So unless you ask the question, they do not come up off that money. So as you're coming up with your plan, you now know different ways you can pay for it: scholarships, grants, employers, savings plans, money out of your pocket, and more. I also want you to think about financial aid. All financial aid is, by definition, is money to help you pay for college. The federal government, traditionally, I don't know if it's still the case because things are evolving with federal funding right now, but in the past, the federal government was notorious for awarding over $120 billion to over 13 million students every year. They would give funding in terms of financial aid for work study, grants, scholarships, and student loans. So anytime you hear financial aid, it's not just scholarships, it's not just grants. It could also include work study and student loans. So if you're in college or going to college soon and all your colleges give you a financial aid award letter, which is a summary of how much money they're going to award you in financial aid, you could likely see any combination of those four types of aid. You can see some scholarships, some in grant, no scholarships, grants and student loans, or work study and student loans. So you can see any of those sources based on your financial situation. Now, I want to introduce you to the free application for federal student aid, the FAFSA. Anybody heard of the FAFSA before? We talk about it all the time. This is a great source to get federal and local and state government money. If you want to get federal funding, you must have a FAFSA on file every year. Every year you're in college. So, Dr. Christie, if I'm a high school senior, do I have to fill it out if I'm going to college next year? Yes. Well, Dr. Christie, I'm a rising junior in college. Do I have to fill it out for my senior year? Yes. Every year you're in school or you anticipate being in school, you should complete the FAFSA. The application usually opens up around October of each year. Dr. Christie recommends you get your application in October because colleges give out their financial aid on a first come, first served basis. So those who get their FAFSA in find out what financial aid they're going to get the next academic year sooner. It's free to apply. So if anybody's telling you it costs money to get your FAFSA, no, it does not. They're wrong. And you will go to www.studentaid.gov. And I don't know why I did not have it here. Let's see if it's on the next slide because I usually have a slide with it on, but I'll drop it in the chat. But you want to go to, let me put it in here real quick, www.studentaid.gov for government. If it doesn't say .gov, it's not the right website. It's always a .gov if it's a federal government funding source of this kind. So every year you're in school. Now, here's what I get. I had some really awful situations. I had parents reach out to me and say, Dr. Christie, my son got a little bit of scholarship money, so we never applied for federal student aid. We never applied for FAFSA. You should apply for FAFSA every year. I don't care if you're on a full scholarship, a ROTC scholarship, an athletic scholarship. Always complete your FAFSA every year you're in school. I don't care if your parents have a military benefit that you can use. Still, Miss Brianna, it might have been you. Still complete the FAFSA. Because if something happens and your funding shifts and you don't have it on file, the school can't give you no money until they have it. They're not going to take you serious with your financial profile unless they have a FAFSA. I've seen too many cases where families are deciding, well, my mom said we make too much money, so there was no need for us to fill out the FAFSA. Oh, yes, it is. I don't care if you make a lot or a little. Everybody needs to fill out the FAFSA every year you're in school. All right. And so once you fill out the FAFSA, that's when your colleges will start to calculate how much financial aid you'll get. So my high school seniors, this fall, you have two major homework assignments. One, figure out what major you have in colleges you're applying for. Two, fill out your FAFSA this fall. Why? Because when you submit your college applications, and you get admitted, the school's not going to calculate your financial aid until they have this FAFSA on file. So it does no good to get admitted into college in December and you don't do the FAFSA until May. That means you're not going to know how much money they're going to give you until May. So Dr. Christie recommends that you complete your FAFSA in the fall along with your college applications. In fact, if you're a continuing college student, just get in the practice of submitting your FAFSA every fall while you're in school. Now, this will help you to see quickly how that FAFSA works. I can talk you to death, but I think the visual helps even better. So you in the blue box, you and your parents are going to sit down. You're both going to need to sit down together and complete your FAFSA. You'll need to say which colleges you want it sent to. When you fill out the application, it's going to say, hi, Corinne, which colleges do you want us to automatically send your FAFSA report to? You're going to say Howard, Virginia Tech, LSU, whichever other schools that are on your short list that you've already created. Then, once they have your FAFSA, it's going to calculate your student aid index. It used to be called the EFC, expected family contribution. It was and that's what everybody uses when they say, when you talk about your financial aid, they're going to say, what's your SAI? It's this number, your magical number for that school year. What is that number? It's when they calculate your financial income and your parents, and they'll tell you how much they think you can pay, you and your parents can pay, not how much the school is going to give you. And most people say, oh, that's not how much they're going to give me. No, they're going to spit out a number. It could be a large number or a small number. The larger the SAI number, student aid index, the more they think you can pay out of your pocket. The lower, the smaller the number, the more they think they need to give you in financial aid to help you because you don't earn a lot. They're also going to send that information to your colleges that you selected. Then each college is going to calculate your financial aid and send you an award letter. Every college sends their own award letter, and every college calculates financial aid difference. So you'll get one SAI, but it doesn't mean you're going to get the exact amount of funding from every college. Get it? Every college, their own calculation. So they're going to take that SAI index, how much Christie can pay out of pocket, and then they're going to say, based on what we have available, this is how much we're going to recommend for Christie in financial aid. They're going to send you an award letter. It could come in email. It could come in the regular mail. So check your emails regularly as you're entering your senior year of high school and all throughout college, because that's how correspondence happens sometimes. Once you get your financial aid award letter, then the colleges are going to specify in that award letter how much financial aid you'll get from them. And it could be work study, scholarships, grants, or student loans, right? We've already talked about those four. What happens if you don't get any? It means your student aid index was likely high, and they think you can pay for it out of pocket. Just because the school think you can pay for it, does that mean you can pay for it out of pocket? Heck no. Sometimes it's like, I don't know how they think I can pay all of this. That's not happening. So you want to start to look for other sources. Sometimes you might have to go back to the school and say, I think there's an error. Or if your financial situation changed, maybe you had a parent that fell ill and couldn't work, or they don't make as much, maybe they lost their job, you can appeal it. So go back to your college if that's the case and say, tell us your appeal process for financial aid, because we've had things change since we filled out this form, or in the last year since my parents last filed their taxes. So there is an appeal process. Don't let a school tell you there isn't. You might not always win the appeal, but do know that every school has an appeal process. Now, if they say, hey, we're going to award you, Lanice, $10,000 in scholarships and grants and student loans, but you'll have to come out of pocket for the other $10,000 it takes this year. So if you don't have enough money that's covered by financial aid, then you need to be looking for scholarships and grants. Scholarships predominantly. Those are gift aid, free money you do not have to pay back. So Dr. Christie is always going to encourage you to get money you don't have to pay back. Now, as we look at money that you don't have to pay back, I want you to think about it from this standpoint. So this just really summarizes all the different type of financial aid, which I've already covered. But money you have to pay back are called student loans. And right now, I try to work to steer students away from taking out as many student loans as possible, because there's too many. There's $1.7 trillion worth of student loan debt, and there's 46 million people in this country that owe in student loans, averaging about $32,000 a year. So if you can avoid taking out any, great, or reduce the amount you have to take out, great too. So I want to, steer you toward scholarships. So I'm going to share a few strategies on applying for scholarships. If you find that you have a shortfall between the financial aid from the college and what they think you can pay out of pocket, but you really don't want to or can't, then you should be looking for scholarships. Scholarship applications look similar to college applications in that they ask for similar information about you, whether it's some ask you for test scores, some ask you for your transcripts or GPA. They want to verify your GPA is high. Some ask you to verify that you're actually gotten accepted into college. Some will say send us your enrollment letter that you've been enrolled in college before they'll cut a check. So pay attention to their requirements. That's the key thing here. Some may ask you to write an essay. Some may ask you for letters of recommendation. Not all scholarship providers want the same information. So my best advice is to read their instructions. Same way you're going to read the instructions when I give you instructions today when you apply for my scholarships. Read the instructions, because the quickest way to get disqualified is not paying attention to detail and not doing what folks ask you to do. And as a scholarship judge, when I'm like, I clearly asked for these things. I said 500 words. They only gave me 250. Bottom of the barrel, because they did what they wanted to do and not what we asked them to do. This is not the time to go off and do your own thing. Do what people ask you to do. You also don't want to cookie cut your applications. Tailor them to each scholarship. So if there's an entity who is a, let's say you want to look, it's a medical scholarship, you're a medical student and they're giving money to students interested in the medical field. You want to make sure your scholar profile highlights that you're interested in the medical field, or your essay touches on something in the medical field that you think would resonate with whoever is granting the funds. Also, if you want to highlight courses and activities that align with the scholarship, you want to submit a complete application, read the instructions as I've already talked about, and follow them. Don't just read them, but follow them. And make sure you have correct grammar, spelling, and you're not using slang. I'll always tell students when you're writing, even when you're doing essays, don't use words like don't, can't, ain't. You want to use words like cannot, does not, did not. Spell those out. Ms. Denise, you have any other, you have questions or any other wisdom or guidance?
I had a question actually,
Uh-huh.
because I have been like applying to like scholarships and like my Common App stuff is already out of the way, so it's just been scholarships and like applying to like colleges and things like that.
Mhm.
But I wanted to know if I'm not able, because obviously it's like the summer and I'm not in school yet. But how would I be able to get my transcript if I'm not in school?
So the transcripts that you'll use right now as a college, as an entering freshman, would
Hmm.
be your final high school transcripts.
Okay.
After your first semester of college, then you can start using your college, your first semester of your college transcripts, because every semester you're in college, they'll update your transcript and update your grade point average. So for the fall semester, use your high school transcript. And for the spring, when you keep looking for scholarships, because you should be applying all year, use your fall grade. So when you hit college your freshman year, if my all my incoming freshman college students, please make sure you keep a strong GPA. I encourage you to keep it over 3.0 if at all possible. So party a little, but don't party more than you study. But make sure that you keep a strong GPA, because you can use that for internships, scholarships, and more. And the baseline really for a lot of folks are is that 3.0 benchmark. Lanice, yes.
Hi, so I have like about 4 to 3 questions. So, the first question I had is, what do I do as someone entering into college who didn't attend like a high school in the US and who doesn't have the traditional student scholar profile?
You can create a scholar profile
Mhm.
based on your experience, even if you're not traditionally from the US. You will just fill it in with things that are relevant to your personal experiences. So even if you went to school out of the country, put the school you went to. If you're applying for things that require like a US based grade point average system and yours doesn't equate, then maybe you use a similar approach that you would use for applying to colleges, and maybe translate or calculate out. So if it's a 3.0 in the US, maybe you have a certain grading scale in your country or different country, then you say in the US, put it in parentheses, it's equivalent to, and put it in parentheses on your scholar profile. But certainly still fill out a scholar profile and use any activities, even if it's not US based activities, put those activities and try to get someone to help you to compare those or to translate them into something similar to what could be understood if someone was to look at it. So if you volunteered then you would maybe put in parentheses volunteer and what type of volunteer activity it was, so that there's a great way that people can connect. Oh, I can see how that compares to something that they might be familiar with.
Okay, thank you. And the other question would be, how can I leverage my experience as a working young adult that could make my application or myself competitive for entrance into college when competing against traditional high school seniors?
I think that's a great question. And in fact, your scholar profile has a section for you to put your employment experience. And also, when you're writing essays, you leverage your employment experience and you highlight certain skills that you learned in your writing, such as customer service and interpersonal skills and helping people solve issues or dealing with difficult people. And you highlight those thematic skills around your experiences that ordinarily someone may not be able to speak to. But pulling out those skills that you learned or developed as a part of your employment will matter in that case.
Thank you. Okay, so I will combine these two. So these last bits, how would I get exposure to volunteering as a non-high schooler? Because I graduated about 5 years ago from high school. And also, how would I convert my transcript again overseas into the GPA score?
Now, the transcript conversion, I'm not exactly sure how to advise you on that. If you're trying to go to school in the US, I would work with the university that you're trying to get admitted into in the US. They can help you convert it. But if it's for pure employment opportunities, I would simply provide the transcript or share with the employer, for example, that you went to school out of the US and how would they like you to present your transcript, and maybe they will accept it in the form that it's in, but it would all depend on the opportunity you're pursuing and how you're planning to use your transcript. In terms of volunteering, I would highly recommend that you check out social organizations, nonprofit organizations, community organizations, churches. There's a lot of nonprofit organizations that are always looking for volunteers. The Boys and Girls Clubs across the country, there's thousands of Boys and Girls Clubs across the country, and we're always looking for volunteers to help with all kind of things with our youth, panels, support, events, you name it. And so look for nonprofit organizations in your communities, and they usually have opportunities to volunteer. And if you're in the medical field, go to professional organizations. So the American Medical Association or the National Society of Engineers or Society of Women Engineers. Ask and reach out to someone and find out if they have volunteer opportunities too. All right, you're welcome. All right, so as we move on, Leilani, I see your hand. I'm going to come back in just a few minutes with your question. So keep your hand up. I just want to share. This is also another great place, and we've been talking about your scholar profile already in the financial piece, because remember, you can use it for scholarships and finding funding and essays and letters of recommendation. So as you can see, there's a place for educational history. There's a place for employment. There's a place for extracurricular. And to Lanice's point, a place on here to volunteer and get community service. So leverage your scholar profile to benefit you. Leilani, what's your question?
Hi, sorry to interrupt. My question is, where do you recommend high school rising sophomore to find really good quality scholarships that aren't too like I wouldn't say competitive, but like oversaturated with people? Where do you recommend finding them, and then how would you like that person to stand out? Like, how do you think that they would stand out in those scholarships?
I'm so glad you asked that question. It fits into this very next section. What I would recommend, whether you are a sophomore in college or a sophomore in high school, wherever you are in your educational journey, you can even be in grad school, and this tip still applies to you. Search for unique and low competition scholarships. And we're going to go into what Dr. Christie means by that. Did you know that there's all kind of scholarships out there? I have to start with that first. There's needs based on how much money you and your parents make, financial, your financial income, high income, low income. Then there's merit based, academic. Do you have a strong GPA? Do you have, strong test scores? Interest based. Maybe you like to sew. Maybe you can sing. Maybe you play the violin. Maybe you like to basket weave. Maybe you like to, whatever your talents and interests are. Maybe you're left-handed. Did you know there's scholarships for being left-handed or right-handed? Did you know there's scholarships if you are vegetarian? Did you know that there's all kind of scholarships out there? I promise you. So you just have to be creative. We're going to do an exercise on that in a moment. Military ROTC. This is a very important one. I have generals, senior leaders in the military right now who have access to full scholarships. If you're interested in going to college and focusing on ROTC in college, they will pay for you to go to college, and then you can get commissioned as an officer, not an enlisted person, as an officer in the federal in the military. But guess what? I'm running into very few young people who are interested in a military ROTC scholarship. They would rather pay and go broke and get student loans than to take advantage of a military scholarship, whether it's the Air Force, Army, Marine Corps, Navy. There's great ways to pay for college with ROTC. Then there's athletic scholarships, like my son and Miss Cassandra. She was a scholar athlete on our last panel. So those are unique opportunities for you to get scholarships. And then your major. So whether you're in nursing or engineering or English, there's all kind of scholarship opportunities. Leilani, is that the same hand or a different hand?
Sorry, that's a different hand. I mean, no, I mean, like it's the one from earlier.
Okay, thank you. Zanice, you have a question?
Yeah, just really quick. I'm going into my third year of ROTC, and I wanted to know, if I were to apply to college with an ROTC scholarship, would I have to commission afterwards, or can I just stay in the 4-year program with the ROTC, like in college?
So how it generally works, to my knowledge, and Zanice, if you still have questions about this offline, reach out to me directly, because if you have a financial shortfall and you're interested in what school are you interested in going to?
Clark Atlanta University.
Clark Atlanta. Okay. And if you're willing to consider it, generally speaking, like my cousin did it. I helped him get into Hampton on a Navy ROTC. He was in the ROTC at college all 4 years. They paid his tuition, and in his case, that one paid his room and board, and he got a stipend, meaning a check every month, just because while he was in school, which was phenomenal. The week he graduated from Hampton, he also got sworn in as a naval officer, commissioned at graduation or right after graduation. So once he's graduated from school, then he spent 4 years. He did all 4 years in the U.S. Navy, travel the world, full-time job, employment opportunity after he graduated from college. So that's when he got commissioned. Did that answer your question?
Kind of. I was asking, like, if I went in on the ROTC scholarship, would I have to commission afterwards? Like, would I be obligated to become an officer?
So part of your military ROTC scholarship requirements, they will spell out the terms. Generally speaking, if they pay for you to go to school for 4 years, they're going to want at least a short-term employment commitment because they've invested in you. So there may be cases where that's not the case, but I would say 90% of the time, if you go to college on a ROTC scholarship, not if you're just in the ROTC, but if you go on a scholarship and they invest in your education, they're more than likely going to want you to commit. Sometimes I've seen like 3-year obligations, 4-year. You can extend it if you want to get in the military and love it. My cousin who did it, he did his 4 years, which he was obligated to do. And then he went back to the private sector. And those years went fast too, by the way. And he saw the world debt-free, no kids, no debt from college. So he's really positioned himself really nicely. All right. All right, so we're
Thank
going to
you.
keep going. You're welcome. So what do I mean by looking for scholarships that are unique and low competition? This is the key part about this section to Leilani's question earlier. You don't want to discriminate. You want to look for scholarships that are small award amounts like $500, $1,000 because they help. You also want to look for those that have higher amounts where they want to pay the full tuition, like a ROTC scholarship or another prominent, full scholarship opportunity. So don't discriminate on the amount. I'm not going to apply because it's only $1,000. Well, that's $1,000 less you have to pay. Look for scholarships that a lot of people don't know exist. Sororities, fraternities, every year. I'm an AKA, for example. Deltas. I don't discriminate. Go look for everybody who has money. Churches have money. Civic groups, nonprofit organizations, even corporations have money. But here's the thing. You want to look in your community where you are, and you want to do what I asked y'all to do earlier. Who do you know and what do you know? So if you meet people and say, hey, I'm going to school next year, I need scholarships. Who do you know that has them? You'd be surprised how many people can point you to scholarships that most people don't hear about. In my AKA chapter, for example, and I'm a part of several groups that give out scholarships, we can never find enough applicants. Why? Because a lot of students don't want to apply. They don't want to write essays. They don't want to put in the work. And so we get 8 applicants and we're giving out money, then that increases your chances. Now you can apply for the Coca-Cola, the Bill and Melinda Gates, all the larger pool ones, and you got 20, 30,000 people that's competing for the same 5 scholarships. And you also should apply for the ones in your local community that has 5 or 6 students applying for them. Because some of them aren't going to meet the criteria. Some of them aren't going to pay attention to the instructions like Dr. Christie is telling y'all to make sure you pay attention to the instructions and do what people ask you to do and nothing more, nothing less. So they're going to eliminate themselves already. So that leaves lovely you. So that's going to help you to bubble up to the top to get those community scholarships. You want to make sure you apply for the ones that you're eligible for. So read it. If they say they're looking for an African-American female with a 3.0 GPA, majoring in a STEM major, that's for me. If they say if you're a STEM major and they're looking for somebody interested in accounting, that's not for you. So focus on the ones. The more specific you can get with your application, your scholarship search, the more it's going to weed out other people who aren't in the same situation. Not everybody wants to go to school for engineering. So what should you be targeting? The ones that most people aren't going to apply for. Not everybody has your unique situation. Few people want to write the essays. I've already talked about that. Few people don't want to go and ask for letters of recommendation. Be prepared, be set up, get organized, and have those letters of recommendation already ready to go. So when you get ready to apply, you just like, oh, I already have that PDF. I can send that with my package. Or I have people primed up who can write me a letter pretty quickly because I'm going to send them a sample letter to get them started, like I showed you earlier. Nobody is going to focus on helping you to find unique scholarships better than you. And you know why? Because nobody uniquely knows you like you do. Now, I know I see a couple of hands, but I really need to get to this to drive this point home because I know I'm running out of time before our next panel. But hold on to keep your hands up for now. We're going to go through this scenario. All right. Jonathan is an African-American high school senior with a 3.7 GPA who lives in Maryland. He wants to play soccer in college and major in cybersecurity. He is concerned that his ADHD might hinder him from excelling in classes. He also knows his single mother cannot afford to pay for his education because her income is low. His father is incarcerated and is unable to assist him. He reached out to me because his parents did not attend college and he needs help applying to college and getting funding. Now, I want y'all to tell me, based on him sharing his quick snapshot, most people would look at Jonathan and say, oh gosh, it's doom and gloom. He's got a lot working against him. I challenge that he has a lot working for him. So who wants to tell me, Joy, you want to tell me what at least one type of scholarship he can apply for?
He can apply for scholarships for people who are first generation.
First generation. Why do you say first generation, Joy?
Because his parents didn't go to college.
His parents didn't go to college. Did you know that? Okay, if you have your parents never went to college, that means you're the first, you could be the first generation. London, how about you?
He could get a scholarship for playing soccer.
Thank you. He can get a soccer scholarship. Excellent. Anyone else? I see other Hannah.
He could get a scholarship for him having ADHD. I know there's scholarships out there for those who have like learning disabilities or like something close to that.
Yes, thank you, Hannah. Learning disability. So don't be hard on yourself if you're different from other people. Leverage your differences. Anyone else? Let's see who else. I see other hands. Junie and then Donnell.
Okay, so I would say merit-based because of his 3.7 GPA. That could count.
Merit-based, absolutely. And what about you, Donnell?
He can go for a need-based scholarship since his mom doesn't make that much for her income.
Exactly. Need-based. Those are all great ways. So absolutely. So now let's go and see which ones. So that was probably about 5 or 6 different ones. What if I told you there's could come up with over 10 just by blinking? Would y'all believe me? One paragraph. See, this is why it's important to tell your story. And if you say one paragraph worth of information, you don't know how people can help you or how it can help you. Watch this. Look at all those 12 scholarships right there. He's a male. He's majoring in, he's my African American. So now you have gender scholarships, minority scholarships. He's a high school senior. There's some scholarships that are only earmarked for seniors. Merit-based, local and state. He lived in the state of Maryland. Do you know some local scholarships only want students who live in their general area, which is the reason why Dr. Christie say focus on unique scholarships. Y'all already nailed the merit-based, athletic, STEM. He said cybersecurity. Now he can go after STEM scholarships. Someone already highlighted learning disability, financial need came up. What about because he has a parent that's incarcerated? People actually want to help students who need help if they have a parent who may be incarcerated. So you want to Google scholarships for students of incarcerated parents. And we talked about first generation. Now, here's one I didn't talk about, but I could have. Because Jonathan is an athlete, he wants to play college soccer. Being an athlete may make him a great candidate for a military ROTC scholarship too. So don't rule out opportunities because it may not have been originally what you would have seen for yourself. There may be other opportunities. So I'm going to pause and take, is it Leilani and then Kalia? Your questions.
I'm sorry, could you come back to me a little bit later?
Yes, Kalia.
My question was, if I wanted to be like, for example, if I wanted to be a Zeta, could I still apply for like Sigma Gamma Rho or AKA scholarships, even if I'm not pledging?
So if you're not currently a Zeta, don't lead in telling people I want to be a Zeta. Just apply. Nobody knows what's in your head and in your heart unless you tell them. But I never discriminate against a student who's trying to fund their education. If community organizations have scholarships available, apply. Certainly. Absolutely.
My question is actually similar to her. So like basically you're saying to apply to an AK scholarship, I don't have to commit to being an AK in the future.
No, not at all. One has nothing to do with the other. First of all, being an Alpha Kappa Alpha member is by invitation only. You don't choose us, we choose you. And secondly, I would encourage, if you're interested in being in a sorority or fraternity in college, keep that close to your vest and pay attention to when they have interest meetings and invite you to come and learn more about their organization. But don't hit the campus and just share, woohoo, this week I want to be a Delta and next week I want to be an AKA. That doesn't yield too good in those environments, especially if you switch it up. So what I would recommend is just walk quietly. Let people invite you in because of your service, your acts of kindness, your character. Let those things guide you. But in terms of funding, I would apply for a Kappa or a Omega Psi Phi, a fraternity scholarship as a woman if it was open, if the criteria said I was eligible for it. So don't let that limit where you apply. Those are really good questions.
Thank you.
So what I want you to do, and I know my time is running out, but this is a very important segment. I want you to know that the one big question I get is, where should I look? Google is great. I saw someone put Unigo in the chat. There's all kind of resources for scholarships, but what makes those resources work is what you feed into it. If you just generally put scholarships, you're going to get all kind of jargon. But if you put unique scholarships that apply to you, just like Jonathan did in the example, there's a lot of kids that don't have ADHD, or a learning disability, or another medical disability. So you have to use what you have to get what you need, even as you're searching for scholarship. So you want to be as specific as possible as you're looking for scholarship. Put in keywords like, if you live in Maryland, put Maryland in the scholarships for Maryland students. Or if you're in a STEM profession, put cybersecurity scholarships for 2025. So the more specific you can put in your searches, the more specific and the more unique scholarships you're likely to find that fit your unique situation. Now, I also want to hit real quick to don't write trash essays. This is an area where we're going to focus on scholarships right now, but essays are making a huge difference, y'all, because a lot of people have great GPAs. A lot of people may have a financial need, but what's going to separate you is the quality of your essay writing. I don't care how good you were in K through 12 English, you should write an essay. Make sure you have a plan for writing it. Make sure you do research, create an outline, draft your essay, and then get somebody other than you who's good at essay reviews to review it. Never submit an essay nobody's looked at other than you. Never, ever submit an essay that only you looked at. Because you're going to wonder, Dr. Christie, I've been applying for scholarships for the last year and I've never gotten any. And I'll say, well, who has looked at your essays? Nobody. Or my mom. Is your mom an English professional? Is your mom someone who has awarded scholarships or works in that space and knows what scholarship judges look like? Well, no. Get someone who's credible and who can help you review your essays. And don't knock to mom. Mom's going to catch a lot of things you didn't. So use mom and someone else, or dad and someone else. But get someone to help you with your essays. All right. I also want to remind you, don't wait till the last minute. A lot of folks aren't going to want to write essays at all. I know my group, Dr. Christie's teens, are going to write essays. Tailor your essays, do the research, make sure you connect whatever the topic is back to that entity. You also want to grab the judge's attention up front. Don't use cliches, sayings that everybody hears about, or it all began with, those kind of things. My name is, it all started with. That's all clichéic to me. Start with something that's unique about you. I once wrote an essay on leadership, and I started my essay like this. I ran for senior class president and lost. Now I had a hook. They're like, wow, how's that have to do with leadership if you didn't win? And what happened? Were you crushed? Did you give up? No, I didn't do any of those things. But now you have a good hook into keeping people's attention through the rest of your writing. So tell your unique story in your writing, because that's what's going to make you stand out. And that's what's going to help scholarship judges learn more about you that nobody else can tell them. Nobody's going to have your unique experiences. And so you want to spend your time with your essays, highlighting your unique experiences, talking about either a challenge you've overcome or you've experienced. You want to tie in what you plan to accomplish, what inspires you. If there's something hardship you experienced, like me when I ran for senior class president, and that's a true story, student government president, and lost, guess what? Now I'm going to talk about how I overcame it. What did I learn new about myself? What's the lesson in it? Not the loss. I don't focus too much on the loss, only enough to get to the lesson. And then talk about how you want to make a difference in your community and society through your writing. All right, so I am approaching, I'm going to have to skip through. Again, I will want to re-emphasize, please proofread your essays. Error, grammatical issues, punctuation, incomplete sentences. I see it all the time. I'm going to be looking for it when y'all submit your scholarships tonight, but please proofread. And I want to also emphasize to compile a list. So once you start applying for scholarships, you're going to use a spreadsheet of your own, or I'm going to drop in the chat where to find my templates from all my out of both of my books. But use a simple spreadsheet like this one to track all of your scholarships. You want to make sure that you track them, you put the deadlines, and then you organize them by the dates that are coming up first. So if you have dates coming up in September, they should be all at the top. If the next group is October, because that way you can focus on September scholarships first, and then when October hits, you can focus on October. So get organized with your methodology for applying. At the end of the day, I really want you to be willing to put in the work and start early, because the earlier you start, the better position you are to have enough funding you need. And no matter where you are, keep looking for scholarships. Every year you are in high school, every year you are in college until you graduate from college, because there's scholarships for incoming freshmen, for high school seniors, continuing students, grad students, every possible scenario you can think of. There are folks who are out trying to give funding to help you to accomplish your goals. When people offer to help you, hey, I can review an essay. Hey, join this youth summit. Take that first step and say, I'm going to join because there's something I could gain or someone new I could meet who could help. And then put together a system and a plan that works for you. Now, another thing, and this is the last thing I'm going to emphasize, be responsive. How many of y'all check y'all emails every day? How many of y'all have email accounts? I had a guy, and this happens to me all the time. I have entities. Thank you. It's good to see you checking emails. I had a organization ask me this past spring, Dr. Christie, who do you know who's in Virginia who's going to school in the fall? We have scholarships that we can give to 2 students. Can you connect us with students? Sure, I can. Connected them with the students. Then 2 out of the 3 that I recommended got scholarships. And the guy says, we've been trying to reach out to student X and Y, and they never responded. We tried to let them know congratulations that they've been awarded our scholarship, but they never responded. Please check your emails daily, y'all. This is about business. This is about opportunities. Nothing you have going on, and I'm saying this as a parent because I tell my college sons this all the time. Nothing is more important and a higher priority than this work here. So whatever you're doing, carve out 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon to check your email, or 5 minutes. That'll still get you a lot of headway. Whatever time. But for me to connect you, and my reputation is very valuable to me. So if I connect students with organizations and for opportunities, you need to show up your best self. And to me, it was not a good look to have people trying to give you money and they can't even connect with you because you're not answering your phone and you're not checking your email. So take it off of do not disturb. Like I told my sons, we're about business now. We're in a business phase. Take your phone off of do not disturb and answer the phone when it calls. And if it's someone you don't want to talk to, then you just sunset the conversation and say, hey, let me get back with you, or thank you, but no thank you. But what happens if you're one phone call away from somebody changing your life and you never know it because you're not being responsive? It's not the time for that. So I say all that to say, I have all kind of resources and I'll have them in the slide deck. I do have a free scholarship ebook. You can download it. That's all digital that you can leverage to get some of these tips. Also, highly encourage you to join one of my groups. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and I'm on TikTok. And I push out scholarships that I hear about to my exclusive youth. So if you're on Instagram, join Scholarships for Scholars, just like it's written here. If you're on Facebook, I know my kids say it's for older people, but whatever, older people have money. So if you're not on Facebook, get on it for business purposes, and other sources. But I actually hear about scholarships, like the example I just said. And usually I have the students and other organizations have the money. So sometimes they'll come to me and say, hey, Dr. Christie, who do you know who could use this money? And I usually push it to my exclusive group teens first and youth first.